Are you saying you have to cough? Is that what you're trying to
Yes,
say?
I was trying to say I have to cough. Yes, I have to cough. That's my. That was the entire takeaway from what that miming was. That pantomime.
The pantomime. Hey guys, welcome to Vanishing Gates. I am Jay, your host into the strange and unexplained, and I'm joined once again.
Look, I don't know what to say.
Quite the babushka, Jack. Does that work for you? I don't know.
There we
Man.
go.
So
Quite
guys,
the babushka.
I'm a bit under the weather, but today being the 5th of December, it's a pretty cool thing. So we want to do the show.
Remember the 5th of December?
No, it's November.
I love how that story literally
Yeah, the
people
Cal
think
Fox
he's so,
thing you're talking about.
He's such a hero that blew himself
This
up.
is not the same
he was
thing.
An idiot.
It's Guy Fox in the 5th of December. November.
Because he was
not
French.
December.
That was the problem
Good
here.
grief. Anyhow,
French
we
even
are
mess up
in
rebellions.
the month of monsters, being December.
Wait, was Guy Fawkes French? I don't know.
Anyhow,
Whatever.
folks, it's wonderful to have you around with us on this wonderful evening of December 5th. So, in Northern Europe, and most of Europe actually, not just Northern Europe, but a big chunk of Europe, maybe not in most of, this night is followed by a night that most people call St. Nicholas Feast, or the Feast of St. Nicholas. We've talked about this. If you've been following the show for a while, you might know about this. No? Jack,
Okay.
do you follow the show you've been part of for 3 years?
I have been following
at all?
this show quite thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thoroughly.
I assume that the Feast of St. Nicholas is literally St. Nicholas feasting on the bones of your children who were
No,
bad.
no. But it is December 5th, so is in fact Krampusnacht.
Krampusnacht, everybody. Ready knock.
Now, we've done Krampusnacht shows before. Jack, what would you tell the listeners and viewers about Krampus?
Oh, creepy bastard.
Is it though?
Well, I mean, he's as far as I know, he's just the antithesis of Santa. Like, he's the polar opposite. He's the one who comes to punish. He's one of his elves, right? Like, he's actually an elf of Santa.
We've actually called him the anti-Santa before.
Anti-Santa.
It's kind of funny. No, not accurate at all. But
I thought he was
right,
one of the
kinda
elves.
cute.
I thought that was the story was he
How
was
many
actually
elves is... No.
he was supposed to have like 8 elves or something like that.
He's like his buddy.
Just a buddy, his drinking buddy. They play cards.
I don't know. Maybe they go to the pub and they throw down some lager or stouts later. I have no idea.
Just sit around a table, wait for the Easter bunny, and
So, folks, I'm not feeling so hot today, and Jack is obviously on his normal A game. So, forgive us.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyhow, it is Krampusnacht. So, Krampus, for those who don't know who haven't listened to the prior shows, Krampus is a horned anthropomorphic creature covered in fur, carries birch sticks in a basket, sometimes a rucksack, and he follows, or he precedes, actually in some cultures, Santa on his gift-giving route. And what he does is he goes and finds the kids that are the super naughty kids, and he tears them up, sometimes taking them. Sometimes he gifts the parents with the birch bundles, so you can whoop your little kids that aren't paying attention. Because, you know, striking children when they don't behave is, you know, a thing.
It's not a great idea. I don't know.
I think it depends on the
be a good
degree
idea.
of discipline.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
We are
depends on what
not
you need to do.
pro child abuse, by the way. We actually hate child abuse. But
Try not
if
to
your
beat your
kid
kids with
doesn't
birch
pay
sticks.
attention,
That's all I'm saying.
you know, Dr. Spock was wrong, but he wasn't that wrong.
If you have to hit your kid with a birch stick, make it a Krampusnacht birch stick.
So you guys know about the story of like, oh, if you don't be good, Santa's going to leave you coal in your stockings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Krampus is like, the coal wasn't good enough.
So if you were bad enough, presumably that's when Krampus shows up. I thought it was if you didn't have the spirit of Christmas.
Also that. He's also called the Shadow of Santa. So, or the Shadow of Saint Nick, anyway. Guys, I'm still not feeling good, so I'm trying to work through this. Anyhow.
And I am, as always, at my top game.
Now, this is a pre-Christian origin story. Like, before Christianity came to that part of Europe. Krampus was a thing.
Hmm.
And even some people think that he was the grandson of Loki when it comes to like Norwegian culture, Norse culture anyway.
That would make sense. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, the trickster, and then the only thing is he's not really a trickster.
No, Krampus is going to fuck you up.
Yeah, he's just gonna torture you. That's
It's not about tricks.
pretty much, yeah. He's a trickster for kids. He's gonna torture you.
Well, that and he might just take you away. Sometimes he'll discipline you, sometimes take you away. Now, when Christianity got into that region, it became more of a melding between that and St. Nicholas. And they became, traveling companions. You all right there, Jack?
Yeah, I'm just really tired. Sorry.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
Oh, it's doing great. It's
Good,
doing great.
good. It's Krampusnacht. Are you worried about birch switches?
Gosh, worried about spankings. Mm.
I'm really worried this is going to become some kind of like adult film where it's birch switches.
I'm sure there's something out there for that. Don't worry about it. This is the internet
If there's
somewhere.
not, there will be.
There will be now.
Anyhow, so it's Krampusnacht. We're going to do a shorter episode because we're both he's tired, I'm sick. But we wanted to touch base with you guys. We're taking a small break from our, this is a reprieve from our night terrors / sleep paralysis videos and podcast to talk about the series podcast. I can't even talk, dude.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're batting 1050.
I mean, they made that movie for Krampus, and that's the thing.
Have you watched that?
I have seen reviews for it. That's about it.
I haven't watched it.
I don't think I want to. I saw reviews for it, so they show clips and they show like a large chunk of it.
We've already had this conversation.
I feel like that is not even an accurate representation.
I really wanted it to be a good thing, and I haven't allowed myself to watch that film yet, and it bugs me. And there's a few reasons. I mean, freaking, mostly people said it was crap. I guess there's only one reason. Everyone said it was crap. I didn't see one good review. I didn't see one person that said this movie's great.
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, what I saw of it for the reviews that I saw for it, like with all the clips and stuff, God, I'm so tired. It seemed kind of hokey. And then at the end, the creepiest part about it was the ending, basically. That was it. Like, everything else in between was kind of Not really concerned. But then when you get to the end is a little creepy how things work out. Like, I mean, I guess, yeah, it wasn't the greatest movie ever made. I'm going to tell you that.
Let's just talk about Krampus himself. Some people say he's a Perchen, like from Frau Perch, like one of her kids or offspring. Some people say he's a faun, as we said. Some people say he's Loki's grandson.
A faun makes sense because those guys are really bad tricksters, and they play really bad tricks.
It's not like he's a trickster. He's a malicious guy or he's the heavy side of weight on the scale of judgment of your character. It seems like a little bit. You know?
Well,
is it digging too deep? Are you able to comprehend what I just said there? Because I can't even comprehend.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Well, no, because because even when he's hanging out with St. Nicholas or Sinterklaas or whatever, when they're together, Santa still puts birch wood sometimes in the shoes of the bad kids.
That seems kind of rude.
But, Krampus actually just has bundles of birch and he whips the hell out of people with it. Or he'll kidnap them.
It's so weird to think Santa's like the one that's really quiet and then he shows up and starts beating the crap out of people. Is he like a martial artist or something? That's what I'm confused about.
Well, I think just whipping the crap out of somebody with a birch stick doesn't require a black belt, buddy.
I'm pretty sure fighting 4 or 5 people that could be in the house requires something along that lines.
Maybe he's quieter. But he also takes people away. I mean, 4 or 5 people in the house. How many people are shot at Santa, I wonder? I don't know. Where was I going with this dude?
Feast of St. Nicholas.
Ugh.
All the way back there. That's where we were.
No, it's tomorrow night. Tonight's Krampusnacht.
Oh, okay.
It's the precursor to...
So, I've always been confused. How does he get in the house? Does he just walk in the front door or does he just knock? Hence
I don't think he needs to knock or anything. I think he just goes in and it's on like Donkey Kong. This thing is huge with horns and he's hairy.
I've seen some of the parades they do, like in the Netherlands and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, you're talking about the Krampusnacht,
yeah, just
which is now in America too. The
it's pretty
Krampusnacht.
wicked. I mean, some of the costumes are pretty interesting, but they all seem pretty much the same, if I'm honest.
Sandra in chat, yes, yin to Santa's yang. That's a great way to say that. But yeah, it's actually the Krampusnacht, or the Krampus Run is coming to America. It has been coming to America a few years. In Austria, actually, they do a really good job of it. And guys dress up as Perchs or Krampuses, if you will. Because I think the old tradition is they're still Perchins or Perches. Like Frau Perches. Yeah. Do you not remember any of the shows you've ever done, Jack, at all?
Not even once.
I'm
tired
any
right now.
darn thing we've ever talked about on this show. Good
I'm
grief.
just tired.
Oh my gosh, in chat, Arcata, California has a Krampus parade on the 21st. They're missing it by a few days because tonight is Krampusnacht, but that's awesome and I kind of want to go. So,
That sounds interesting.
Krampus, like, not according to the movie, but according to the tradition, he goes about things a few different ways. He might grab you, might take you away, might torture you and eat you. He might whip you with birch. He might leave a bundle of birch. Yeah, a basket or a bag.
Yeah, I thought he just like had a basket or something to carry around.
It depends on the culture. Now, there's a funny thing, too. If you guys ever look at old Christmas cards from back in the day, Krampus can be kind of the pervert. It's not always taking away kids. Sometimes it's a bad younger lady. And Krampus is getting a... Anyway.
Bit too overzealous, that Krampus.
Cough, cough, cough. He's getting some stuff on. And
Krampus,
these are
Krampus.
Christmas cards dating back a long time. Now, the Christian church got involved and kind of pushed Krampus towards Christmas more. But prior to that, it was tonight is Krampusnacht. In fact, a lot of traditions, early Christianity, well, early in the European culture, tonight was more like Christmas.
Yeah.
The Feast of St. Nicholas and whatnot. That said, most people forget that in America, when Christmas first came around, Halloween and Christmas were very similar. People would go trick-or-treat dressed up and stuff on Christmas time. People
Really?
forget that. Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's an absolute fact.
You sure?
Yes.
Because I've heard recently about some things that are facts that I'm pretty sure aren't facts.
Well, if you want to fight me for it, we can fight, but
Okay.
you'll lose.
Well, all right.
Anyway,
I don't think I
so,
want to fight through it.
that said,
It's kind of interesting. I didn't know that they trick-or-treated on Christmas.
yeah, we've talked about this before also. So, December, I like to call it the month of monsters or the monster month. And we have done prior series of our show talking about, like, Growler the Christmas Troll, the Yule Lads, not gonna...
I remember some of these.
Frau Perch.
I remember some of these.
This is how much dedication Jack puts to the show.
Okay, listen. It's not about a lack of dedication. It's about the fact that I'm horribly tired. I can't remember crap in my life. Tried to ask me what I had for dinner last night. I completely forgot.
Was it pigeons?
No.
Are you certain?
I'm not sure. It could have been pigeons. I'm not positive on that one. No, I think Krampus is such a... I don't get what the draw for him is. As far as I can tell from what I've read on him, what we did on him, it wasn't very interesting. It wasn't very scary. And it was kind of like... It was just this short story, basically. And people just thought it was interesting.
So we made Krampus less scary, is what you're saying?
No.
We unscared Krampus?
I would say the thing that's actually scary about that is that most of these things are based off of something.
Uh-huh.
Most of these things are based off something. And so you got to think, who was doing what back then that caused them to make up Krampus? Like, who was going around doing something probably similar to this? Or they lived alone in their house and someone found this. That's usually how the story begins. Like, this is some pretty screwed up shit. And so you got to think that Krampus was obviously something of a real torturer, was something of a real psychopath in the back in the day, and they just simply made a story around him, because that's where most traditional fears come from, is that somebody did something that caused people to make a story around him, and then the repeated meme, you know?
Like a couple of years ago, maybe last year or the year before, and we talked about the guy that cut up those boys, and Santa was like, hey, fix that. But that's not Krampus. That's that guy was in Italy, I think.
Yeah, that was
so it's a different tradition.
Gosh, who was it? It was like
a bishop or something.
Yeah, it was a bishop, I think, and I can't remember the whole story.
Saint Nick was a bishop at that point, or something like that, a cardinal.
Yeah, he wound up saving them, if I remember correctly. Like,
he put them back together, and then but this is different than Krampus. Krampus is quite different than that guy.
Well, I get it. It's different like that, but I mean, there was still there has to be something behind it that starts these stories, because everything comes from something. Like, these things don't just sprout up for nothing. They come from someone doing something that causes people to believe it. It's just the way it begins. Everything builds from something. Like, stories build up from something smaller. So it could have been something like some curse, like somebody did something horrific, that this guy did something horrific to people, and it cursed an area, and then that curse became a day, or it became, like if you came into this town, and then it became, if you came in, or it's just a yearly, he would come back as a ghost, and he would haunt someone, or he was a terrifying creature that would rise up and come out and punish people. And that's how these stories start. So the question is, who was Krampus? Like, where was his story from? What's his genesis?
Well, a lot of that was covered in the first episode we did about Krampus that you clearly don't remember.
Well, I mean, that's but I don't mean like the Frau Perch story. I mean, what's the real story behind Krampus? Like, where does it come from? What's the underlying truth to this story?
We've talked about this before, too. The wintertime, the fall time, when the veil is being lifted between the living and the dead. How hard it is to survive in situations where you don't have heated houses or warm food. Your crops are dying. Your sheep are dying, or whatever you're eating is dying.
Yeah.
It's cold, it's bitter, and the elements will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
That's where a lot of this... That's why the winter and the fall are such a dark part of humanity.
Yeah, it's
it
one of the
wasn't
worst
until
times.
Christianity came around that made it like we'll have trees up and shit. And,
I mean, that was actually a Druidic ritual.
Yule logs and whatnot.
There you go.
Whatever, but it's that differentiation between, our normal summertime, which is, we don't live in a place as normal summertime, but all right, and then the dark, sad, mopey, sick-inducing, psychologically different part of the seasons that comes up, and that's the fall and winter. So maybe
I agree.
that's why. But also, maybe your kids are just shitty, and you need someone outside of your own self, because you can't just beat them yourself because of CPS, so you have to tell them about Krampus.
Well, the thing is that a lot of these stories don't start off like they don't.
Right over your head.
No, I got you.
All
I
right.
got you. I got you. But a lot of these stories are very basic. They're nothing stories. You know what I mean? They don't start off like torture or murder.
And Ugg boots.
Sometimes it's just superstition that causes these things to come up. Like, people are superstitious about a certain thing.
Yeah, but where does that come from? Do you think?
Well, usually, like I said, it comes from something, and it probably comes from someone who is horrible. Because believe it or not, there is someone currently in this world. I am sure that you might know that someone knows somebody who knows somebody, or somewhere in this world right now, there is a person who is doing something horrific and terrifying at this very moment that we will not know about for another 4 or 5 years, or maybe 10 years, or 20 years, or 100 years from now. We won't know that this person is doing something horrific. And the thing is
But
this
like
is
Christmas
a lot of things
lights,
that happen
they
back in
won't
the day.
hang themselves.
Exactly.
That's our one.
And,
that's our one.
That's our one. But that's the thing is you won't know about these things. So when it comes down to it, it could have been this particular form of season in the colder regions like the Nordic areas. People, you can't survive. You need to survive in some way. You can't feed your kids. What do you do? What do you do? And probably sometime in the area where this was taking place, people were dying because of the snows or a famine or something like that. And more than likely, this story probably evolves from something around a famine that was basic. Like, someone went crazy, someone decided their family couldn't survive, so they just finished it themselves. And this was a big dude who was a woodcutter or something like that. Someone who, was a hunter, something like that, maybe. And just happened to be like small details in the area. Like, maybe he had a bundle of birch sticks. Instead of lighting them on fire, they have no idea why he didn't do it. And why did he keep those bundles of birch sticks? Maybe he beat his kids and he used them. Maybe that's what they were for.
Do you know what Occam's razor is, though?
What?
You know what Occam's razor is, right? About
yes, I know exactly what Occam's razor is.
Yeah,
Occam's
the
razor.
simplest answer. Your definition of that makes less sense than there being a giant hairy monster who attacks children.
No, my definition makes a lot of sense.
You stretched so far with that one.
No, I did not. I
Yeah,
was making a
you-
hypothetical
you-
story about the
you
fact that it could have been a
spread that
guy.
further than I'm not going to
who was
continue what I was going to
simply-
say, but that's bad.
Because hold on, this is not a far fetched story.
Mm-hmm.
That happens in the winter. People go crazy. They don't have food.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
Can't feed their kids.
Look at Dyatlov Pass. What happened with those guys? They got the cold sickness. You start to freeze, so you take off your clothes and you run outside and die.
No, those were
That's
aliens. That was aliens.
Here we go.
Dead Law Pass was aliens.
Let's
And
have
is
a
it real?
Dietloff past Christmas.
Okay, hold on. What about Ditloff
That should be a
Pass? And
song.
considering the fact that there was some weird crap up there,
How did we go from there? From
because you
what?
decided to bring up something that actually has legitimate strains of something weird happening.
No, it has legitimate loads of horse crap. It's pretty
It
simple.
was not a little horse crap.
Occam's
It
razor.
was weird.
Occam's razor.
Okay, you're right. You're right. Okay. Why don't we
Absolutely,
just
I'm
go with
right.
the simplest answer?
That's how
That's
it works.
Don't investigate it. Don't invest.
Oh,
don't
you investigate
think.
all you want. It's
Just-
obvious that the Russian
take the
army
easiest
murdered these
answer.
children. I don't know what's wrong with you. These
The
kids,
Russian
not
army-
children.
The Russian army people went up the side of a mountain, left no trace of themselves, even though these kids were leaving traces of
Prove
themselves.
there's no trace. Go up there in the Urals and tell me there's no trace of the
They
Russian
weren't
military.
found by the military.
Of course they weren't, but guess who showed up to help search?
Yeah, guess who
Them.
showed up
We did
after,
a show about this. How are you on crack cocaine
after
right now?
a bunch of people already had been there?
No, like 10.
Yeah, you think they didn't have photos beforehand?
Good grief.
So they just the Russian army just showed up, cleared all their footprints. We're like, okay, cool. We're not going to clear up those though. We're just going to leave theirs. But somehow we're going to manage to hide
we're just
ours.
gonna keep, just
It's a story that has credence.
we don't have to be counterpoint here. This isn't like that. Jane, you ignorant slut. You don't have to do that. We can just talk and feed off each other in good ways that make sense.
I'm sorry. I actually want
You
to
don't
read.
have to be so
I like Deep Love
aggressively
And a saucy road. That's some things we need to look up one of these days. I'm sorry, I'm rabbit holing again. Just traveling off. Anyway, so no, I get what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Krampusnacht, man.
It's Krampusnacht. If you get beat by birch sticks or have one put in your nose, it's not my damned fault.
Like,
I
how
tried
dare
to warn
you?
you.
How
I tried to
dare
warn
you create a
Krampus is
backstory
real.
for me that wasn't
It's
real?
like the people that don't believe in Santa. How the hell do you not believe in Santa?
What do you leave out for Krampus?
What day in... Oh, that's a good one.
What do you leave out for Krampus? That's what I want to know.
Oh, see,
So
now
I don't
you're,
get
now
beat
you're
with a bundle of
finally
sticks.
remembering. It's coming back. It's all
Yeah,
coming
small
back
things
to
are
you
starting to
now.
jut back into my brain
Yeah,
there.
we go. We're jogging it back. So, schnapps is usually the gift you want to give to Krampus.
If you have children in your house, I don't know if you should leave a thing of schnapps out.
Well, I would suggest
But
to have the children put it out and tell them not to drink it.
no.
Well, let me tell you something, man. In my household, the offspring leave Santa Baileys and cookies.
Wow, that's
I like Bailey's Irish cream.
awfully polite.
So
of
does
them.
Santa. We have a similar taste.
Similar to
But they ain't leaving nothing for Krampus because my kids are pretty well behaved, strangely enough.
Yeah,
I was
that's
worried
weird.
I was going to have to grow birch sticks in my backyard for
my
my kids.
My
and
kid's
kids
gonna
are
need a
cool.
birch stick tree.
Yeah, I'm going to buy your kid birch sticks just to hit you with.
That's not very polite. My kid
That's going to
won't
be the
happy.
birth gift.
That's just rude. That's
Instead
just
of
rude.
it's a boy cigars, it's going to be it's birch sticks for your dad.
Ugh, rude. So, aside from that horrible rudeness, that's messed up. You know, I don't need to be beaten with a reed.
So one thing I do want to say, guys, because we do need a shorter episode here. Sorry for dragging on and gallivanting this way.
Neither of us are
Neither
all
so
here
well.
right now.
We do want to know, what are your favorite, a couple things here. Christmas stories, like ghost stories, is really cool because we should bring that back. Scary ghost stories is a great thing to do for Christmas. So if you have Christmas ghost stories, holiday paranormal experiences, please share that with us. Also, what are your favorite holiday horror movies? We mentioned that shitty movie Krampus that no one saw, including the two of us.
Holiday
If you
horror
liked
movie.
that, please don't email us.
I don't
But
like movies.
please email us or text me. Don't call me. Don't call me. You can message us on the Facebook messaging thing. You can email us at vanishinggates@gmail.com. You can tweet it to us. But let us know what your favorite holiday horror movies are.
2 G's of Vanishing Gates.
Thank you. And hit us up that way because I would love to read stories that you guys have. Because we are approaching the Christmas, the Yuletide. The Yule season is upon you. Also, a side project that I have going on. I am started as a sarcastic joke. A very sarcastic joke. But I am now putting together a dad bod calendar. If you are interested in the dad bod calendar, there's a Facebook page, the Dad Bod Calendar. If you're a dad bod guy who wants to be featured, we need all of 12 people all together. We have at least 2. Get the rest of them out. If I can get them done this week, we'll post it up. Anyhow. What, Jack? What?
I ain't doing it. You can't pay me.
Didn't ask you to.
Couldn't get me to do it.
No, it's all about the volunteer effort to produce this awesome and hilarious thing. There's also another project, guys, I'll be announcing soon that I'm producing. I'm not really part of, so lucky you. I'm just producing it, but I will ask that you pay attention for that because I would like your guys' support in another podcast I'm be producing soon. So,
Yeah, but I don't know if it falls in line with our current podcast. I'm so sorry. I'm just trying not to sleep over
We're
here.
both batting 0 here, aren't we?
I know, we're killing it. We're nailing this show.
Anyway,
to
guys,
the ground.
have a safe and happy Krampusnacht.
Try not to get beaten with sticks. If you see sticks in your house, you should probably get out.
I mean, I would say don't try to get beaten with sticks, but make sure you want to get beaten with sticks.
If you wish to be bitten by sticks, be beaten by sticks. But if you don't, then don't be beat by sticks.
Especially birch, just to celebrate.
Yeah, I suppose.
Get your birch ablation on.
I feel
Celebration
like
on.
the fact that he beats children, we shouldn't be
Eat some too.
convincing
Tortures
people
them.
to torture, beat with sticks.
Well, no,
or
we're
eat
celebrating
the
the fun. And that's one of the coolest things about the
celebrating the fun of
the
beating,
Krampus loft, the Krampus
torturing,
runs,
and
is they
eating
actually scare
children.
the crap out of people, though. The Krampus loft, they dress up and they scare the hell out of kids, and they hit people with birch sticks on the back of their legs. It's kind of funny. I kind of want to go.
Once again, celebrating the beating, torturing, and eating of small children.
Also, don't do that.
The fun of it, by the way. The fun
Don't
of
eat.
the
You can eat fresh.
Krampusnacht.
Don't eat that fresh.
Don't eat fresh.
That's why Jared's in prison,
Don't need Jared Fogle issues.
because he's next to Bill Cosby as the real
Right next to
Krampus.
Bill.
All right. Anyway, guys, I'm Jay. This has been,
The Sleepy Jack.
and he is incoherent as always.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good nightmares.